Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mining Now. I'm your host, Jared Downey. We've got two Datamine, sorry. Wow, here I go again. We did this in Australia as well. Two Datamine companies. We've got iRing on. We have Centric Mining Systems. So from iRing, we have Troy Williams. He is the president at iRing. And we have Chris Novak. He is the CEO at Centric Mining Systems. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, so I butchered Datamine's name right off the bat. Now I've got to fix that. But Datamine is a great client of ours, and so it's nice to have you both on here in Montreal, CIM. Let's start with Chris. Give us a little just that 30-second, 1-minute elevator pitch of who Centric is, and then over to you, Troy, as well.
Sure. So Centric, we're a software company, obviously. And what we do is we have developed and implemented a decision support framework or an ecosystem for the mining industry. So we bring together all the systems and processes that are used to make the mine function, but we bring them together into a single decision support framework. So operations and the executive levels have access to a vast amount of information and facilitate both strategic and tactical decision making.
So iRing, we specialize in underground drilling and blasting software. We developed it from the ground up about 15 years ago now. And it's revolutionary in that you can do the job in basically an eighth of the time. What would take 12 hours to do in traditional software, you can do in 20 minutes.
No.
So with the labor shortages we're currently experiencing, the skills shortages, it means you can do more with less staff.
Right.
We also have an advanced set of drill and blast tools that are unique to our product. So they can not only design the blasts much quicker, they can also look at the rock properties and design blasts that will break the rock more effectively.
So I want to go now just a little bit deeper into the Centric. I actually wanted to start with, you had a page on your website. The URL is actually who it's for, which is a great thing. Rather than saying, well, this is what we do, you go, who actually needs this? So can you start with that? Who are the customers and sort of what buckets do they land in the operation?
Well, it's interesting because fundamentally, everybody in the operation makes decisions. Everybody. The decisions we make may influence or impact us on a very short interval, or they may be much more strategic and make fundamental changes to the operation or to the net present value of the business. So in reality, anybody who uses information to make a decision is our customer. So it could be very granular. It could be the individual, a supervisor, an operator who's asking themselves a question. Am I more efficient to turn left? Does it make more sense to mine here? Is there something I should be doing to improve productivity? Or the customer could be the COO who's asking fundamental questions about the value generated at each of the operations. This is the thing with decision support. There's different levels and different levels of granularity in terms of who makes those decisions and how much information they need. So our customers are varied, and that's typical in the decision support framework. So often we're working with supervisors underground with tablets, picking up information related to equipment productivity and utilization. Or we're supporting corporate where they're evaluating the net present value operation through performance evaluation, through reconciliation and metals account. So we have a lot of customers, and it really depends on specifically where we can deliver the most value to the business.
Let's talk about our heavy industry tour brought to you by Savannah Equipment, supplying mining equipment worldwide, and Corporate Traveler Canada, helping companies travel the globe simpler, faster, and easier. We are heading to events across North America, Africa, and Australia, and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsman.com to be part of Crownsman's Heavy Industry World Tour. Mining companies around the world rely on Cal Tire's Mining Tire Group for innovative tire management and supply. Whether they're making their work safer and more efficient, reducing total cost of ownership, or helping customers improve sustainability, Cal Tire unlocks opportunity and drives positive change. To learn about their award-winning repair technology, tire management tools, recycling solution, and TOMS, their productivity-driven tire and operations management system, visit them at caltiremining.com. Created and designed by industry leaders with decades of frontline experience, Sophie is a platform that brings workers home every day. Give your workforce the communication tools they need on the job to do it safely and productively. Visit Sophie.com today to discover how you can leverage Sophie to increase efficiencies, mitigate risk, and optimize collaboration. Safer, smarter, Sophie. North Isle's mission is to be Canada's leading sustainable resource company and is on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol NCX. North Isle owns the North Island Project, the most developable copper-gold project in Canada. The North Island Project has compelling project economics, is near infrastructure, has tremendous exploration upside, and has leading-edge Indigenous engagement and support from all levels of government. 2023 could be the biggest year yet. Learn more by visiting northisle.ca or by calling them at 778-638-2515 or emailing them at info@northisle.ca.
What is, are there three or four or two, or maybe there's just one big question when people starting to work, they're considering onboarding your system. Do they have a sort of a main question? Are there a couple big ones that you're usually answering?
The main question we get is around accountability. Where is the metal I thought I was going to get? So, I mean, this is ultimately what we're typically trying to execute. We're trying to extract and process and take metal to market. And there's so many verticals and so many processes involved in that execution model that fundamentally, at a very tactical level, we'll ask specific questions about those verticals. But overall, the question is, where's the metal I thought I was supposed to take to market? And decision support allows us to be able to then look at each individual component or vertical of business and answer that question and understand if it was an operational challenge, maybe it's a challenge in estimation, maybe it's a challenge in processing. But by stringing all these processes and information together, we're able to evaluate that fundamental question and derive an answer. Where is the metal I thought I had?
I want to get into quite quickly about Datamine and that integration and all, that cross-pollination. But before I do that, Troy, can you sort of do the same thing with iRing? I was on your website, and it's got it quite nice, and I'll kind of show you what I'm looking at here, is that it sort of breaks down your software, gathering the blasting data and these different, the visual analysis, the block model integration, the reporting tools. Can you sort of walk us through that, though?
Well, it's first of all, it's designed for the way the drill and blast engineers work. That's the fundamental part of our software and why we're usually, that's a big differentiator for the software. It allows the drill and blast engineer to think in terms of drilling and blasting and not software operation, as with traditional software packages. And it also, it's got a very quick learning time. Like, you can pick it up in a couple of hours. In order to become proficient with our competitor software, it could take years of CAD experience. And how do you bring somebody up to speed if you need 10 years of experience to really be able to operate the software effectively and get to a certain level? And in today's market, it's very difficult to find good drill and blast engineers, and you want to maximize their time spent designing drill and blast, not playing with drawing lines and measuring things. And it's really not a productive way to do it. And the unique thing is that you can not only design good blasts, you can actually analyze them and show that small changes could radically affect the outcome and affect the downstream processes. Eventually, we're going to be incorporating a fragmentation model. So you'll be able to design a blast to target a specific fragmentation distribution, potentially bypassing primary crushing underground, potentially taking it as far down the milling process as possible. And iRing's going to need the help of all the data mine partners to be able to track that value and show to the mine that good blasting can lead to significant cost savings downstream, consistent good blasting.
What is there when someone onboards your product? What is something quite quickly they realize is the big advantage? I know you're kind of touching on it already, but I'm just that first day their people start to work on it. What feedback do you get?
It's different than a CAD system. It's very different, and they almost have to approach it like it's something new, not something that they're already familiar with, if that makes sense. So they can't approach it from a CAD philosophy. They've got to look at it and realize it is not a CAD system. It is not going to behave like a CAD system, and our goal is not to be a CAD system. Our goal is to allow them to design the blasts as quickly and efficiently as possible. That's the biggest challenge that most of our users face.
Right. But you're saying that's not a very long onboarding process.
No, not really. A couple of hours at most, maybe a day, depending on the area of the world and language barriers and things like that. But
it's things like that sort of.
It's mostly maybe max 2 days.
Really?
We've never really run into much longer than that.
Yeah.
Like, I've had engineers pick it up with zero training at all, but they were really good drill and blast engineers. So
I see.
so the software if you understand the drilling and blasting process, you can pick up the software very quickly.
Okay, so let's give a special thank you to one of our longest sponsors of the show, Savanaugh Equipment. And I'm actually going to hand it over to Jared so that he can give you a little bit more info on Savanaugh Equipment.
Yeah, thank you. So I mean, people see them as sponsors, so they'll ask me, kind of who they are, what they are, and just trying to understand the scope of the company. So Savanaugh Equipment is a mining supply company, and they're delivering on the whole equipment supply chain. So everything from the ore processing to underground mining, open pit. They're in hard rock and placer operations. And what they're doing is they're sourcing equipment from all over the world and then delivering it all over the world. Now, they are a Canadian company, so they're based there, but, let's say, they're selling entire ore processing plants. So there might be a plant down in Latin America, and there's a new mine that needs that plant in Africa or somewhere in the U.S., so they're facilitating that entire transactions. But they're also delivering, an individual conveyor or a concentrator or a pump package or just an electrical package. So it really is the whole gambit of the mining equipment supply chain.
Oh, that's great then. Well, then you definitely have to check them out if you're looking for mining equipment. Visit them at savanaghequipment.com, where you will find more equipment every day. HF Sinclair, which includes the Petro-Canada Lubricants brand, is a proud sponsor of the show. Petro-Canada Lubricants products and services are proven to maximize equipment performance, productivity, and overall savings. From heavy-duty engine oils to hydraulic fluids, ATFs, gear oils, and greases, Petro-Canada Lubricants is committed to delivering innovative solutions that deliver value and keep businesses moving. They have dedicated technical expertise, knowledge, and know-how to help customers in the mining industry operate smoothly with improved equipment reliability and performance, and help support a mining operations ESG goals. Learn more at lubricants.petro-canada.com or contact them at 1-866-335-3369 to arrange a call with one of their technical experts. DMF Filtration is the ideal partner in solid liquid separation. Headquartered and manufacturing facilities in Italy with over 6,000 installations all over the world, DMF Filtration takes you beyond the boundaries of innovation thanks to the wide range of filter press models and thickeners available within the product portfolio. The launch of Domino, the largest filter press in the world, and AIDA, the system tutor providing real-time connection with the company, are only the latest achievements for this group, which is committed to continuous improvement. You can visit them at dmffiltration.com to learn more.
So would it be fair to say that it really maximizes their, the high-level operators, they really maximizes their abilities?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, I'll start with you. This is a question for both of you, but you bring on Datamine. Like I said, they're a great client of ours, so I've got a chance to talk to them and just understand, not in the way that both of you would, but understand the way they think, the way they move is very efficient, even with us on the media side. I wondered if, from the user side, you've got the big Datamine company, you've got Centric. What will they experience something different over time as this cross-pollination, the integration, development, new technologies coming in, all the things that go into this? What do you think their impact will be?
So the impact is it will be different for users at different levels. We really have multiple layers of users. Our goal is to keep the business as uninterrupted as possible. We keep the workflows efficient, but there are opportunities within the workflows. For example, with data collection, we obviously want to collect as much data as we possibly can. And we want to empower people at a granular level as well as at a senior level. Part of that is implementing, for example, mobile technology. So, replacing traditional hand-monitored, hand-entered, hand-tracked information. Now we have supervisors making short-level control decisions with tablets underground. Some of our customers in Red Lake in Australia are using our tablet software, which actually is developed in cooperation with another Datamine product, the Fusion product, where their mobile solution was adapted to our product. So that cross-pollination happens
Post-acquisition?
Post-acquisition, yeah. And so, we're changing the landscape for people who are at the bottom of that information management stack, where they're just collecting. And then at the top, we're changing the world for decision makers, where rather than waiting for an end-of-day report or waiting for an email, now they're instantly notified on their smartphone or their smartwatch of key events, or they're getting instant visuals of key performance indicators without waiting or without human interaction. And actually, it falls down to the discussion about labor shortages as well, because there's now no dependence on people to merge these systems and processes. It's all just happening. So there is fundamental change for people at the top and the bottom of the decision-making processes. But the goal is to make it as efficient as possible.
Mm-hmm. What do you see from the iRing side? It's getting a company. When did that acquisition happen?
January 1.
January. So this is pretty new.
It is very
Yeah,
new.
we're not 2 years into this. No.
No.
What are you already starting to see then in 4 months? Obviously, the discussion when an acquisition is happening is one thing, a lot of numbers, crunching and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's happened, now the work starts to, they make all the introductions, all that.
Mm-hmm.
What are you already starting to see from your side as an advantage? What's going to develop?
Well, the sheer scope of the software that Datamine has from cradle to grave, we never really had access to that before.
Right.
Inkling of it before, but now we're on the same side of the fence. So there's much greater opportunity for cross collaboration, even being part of the data analytics side in the Centric system. I'm starting to see bigger picture stories where the whole drill and blast story, getting good fragmentation consistently. How do we provide value to the client? Yes, implicitly, most people understand if you can make it consistent, but how do you show those numbers? Well, a system like Centric's could be useful to get the data into Mind Market that can track it, all kinds of really, really interesting ways to show that, yes, good drilling and blasting will produce good results in the end. And poor drilling and blasting, well, we all know what happens with that.
Right. Do you see as a development, do you see your programs developing in new ways from that? Because now all of a sudden you're getting that feedback and you go, oh, this is how we can present it at another level for the client. Is it that type of thing?
I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it would be, but still very early stages.
Yeah.
The engineers would be the ones working with our software, and then we produce data, and imagine that data would have to be in a form that could be consumed by systems like Centric or the other products within the Datamine family.
Yeah.
But fundamentally changing the software, not really. The end user wouldn't notice a difference. There would just be a button,
Right.
export to whatever,
Right.
and it would go.
Was it is there any part of it that is overwhelming too, though? And I can ask this to both of you. And I don't mean this even in a bad way, just that wow factor of all of a sudden you got a company like this who does have so much behind them. And now these conversations are going, you're 4 months in. What was it for Centric?
We're 2 years in now.
Okay. Well, this is perfect then. So let's go from the 2-year perspective of just that capacity they have behind them. And then the same question over to you.
So I see it from two different angles. So one, maybe overwhelming is not the word. That has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to sit down with, our cohorts in the organization when we do get together, and not sort of suppress the obvious benefits to the relationship. So once that energy starts flowing, once the discussions kick up, the opportunities to create value for the customers through this cross-pollination they just flow. And
Right.
and there are so many organizations within the Datamine group. The more you talk to these organizations, the more ideas just pop up. And of course,
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
and it's really difficult
right.
to even execute on it because the opportunity is just overwhelming. You have to prioritize and decide, okay, well, here's the way we can create the most value, the quickest way we can deliver new opportunities to the customer.
I think that's a good point. Like, how do you prioritize? Actually, would it be a better way to ask that question?
So I think it really comes down to value, right? So it comes down to effort and benefit. So we evaluate what effort it would take to integrate process, and not just about product either. That's another key thing. It's not just about product; it's about business process as well. So it's one thing to glue two products together, but you also have to have integrated processes. And information management it involves complex processes that involve people, processes that involve integration, processes that involve other vendors. So you evaluate what the benefit to the customer, the benefits the customer would realize, and then you look at the effort behind it, and you of course come up with the value. And you do this across the business, and it becomes obvious which efforts, which tools glued together create the most value, and that's where that's how the priority is built. And that's not to say that you don't execute on each one of those, but it does help you set those priorities. And I think the thing to do is to be agile. It's that's a word everyone likes to throw around these days, but in this case, it's very applicable.
In context, it's a great word.
It is. What happens is the customer reevaluates themselves, and we're seeing this with one of our much larger customers in Africa. We're doing a 5-site implementation, and what's happening is the plan is changing very quick. Because as you bring these systems and processes together, you go, I didn't even think of that. And so the priorities change in the project. And traditional rigid waterfall project management methodology doesn't have a place in this world in our world, because the customer literally is realizing new learnings as we go. So that allows us to, again, change the priorities, reevaluate. And we encourage our customers to take this agile approach, because the mining industry has been a little slow to uptake decision support technology and methodology.
They're sure catching up now, though.
But they're catching up now. So that's how we do it. We work with the customer, we evaluate the business, we make recommendations where we're going to get the greatest value, and then at each stage we stop, we reevaluate, and from an agile perspective, and we redetermine where the next priority is, and that's how we do it.
Yeah, a 2-year answer is going to be different than a 4-month answer. I hope it is. But so for you, how do you prioritize, or are you still at a stage where it's like, okay, it's taking and it's finding out how we're all working together? Where are you sort of at?
It's just understanding what things do and how things work. The word that comes to mind is just awe. It's just mind-bogglingly large. It's like looking at a really big number, but you really don't know it's a big number until you start to look at the possibilities. And before, our world was just drill and blast.
Right.
All of a sudden, there's no walls, and it's just you have to come back, because if you're out in this space too long, you're going to get lost and nothing's going to get done.
Right.
So you've got to focus on the.
You almost have to create like a trickle in sort of thing.
Yes, you have to focus on it, because I'm only not even 6 months in, and if I look at the really grand picture of where I want to go, we're not in a position right now to get there. So we've got to pick and choose the pieces that will get us there in the next 2 or 3 years. I'd like to get there faster, but I think if we go faster, we might just overrun ourselves.
Yeah. What did it sort of take for you to sort of get it all? I mean, I'm sure it's still a work in progress, because everything is. You're talking about it being. So, what did that take? A good year or so?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. In a very similar situation that Troy described. In the first, I'd say 3-4 months, a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of ideas being thrown at the wall, and the question was which ones will stick. And it took us, I'd say, minimum 6 months to get a handle on some kind of strategy. But to be honest, we're still working through it.
Yeah.
Again,
well, and everything's changing, developing, and I'm sure it's the same for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And the industry is changing. Datamine is changing as they acquire new technologies and products as well. Yeah. So with the industry, as you mentioned, quickly shifting and understanding the benefits behind broad decision support, you've got pressure from that side. You have pressure from internally, because we all see these opportunities. So it took us probably a good 6 months to a year to fully digest what opportunities existed out there and how to prioritize it. Now in year 2. We're working a lot closer with the broader Datamine group, both logistically and technically. Yeah. There's been a lot of technology sharing. We've literally stolen, well, I guess when you're on the same group, you're not stealing. Yeah. But we're literally swapping IP now within the organization to add value to our products.
I want to swing it more to Troy, to a more industry outlook for them, what you're getting from them. I don't know if we can do an episode anymore without somebody mentioning labor shortages. We've got supply chain things, which that can delay projects. So when the project goes, it needs to be done efficiently. To say it's a real issue is still an understatement. So what do you sort of sense? Is the demand is it skyrocketing for you? Has there been a lot of changes even over the last couple of years to sort of meet those demands? I'm just curious what it's like from your side of it.
In what sense do you mean?
I mean that now there's. I'll give it. Let's say you have someone who is really good at running your program. Maybe they're collecting data from multiple sites now. Their demand is bigger, so then your program has to match that multi-user to be able to distribute it out. I don't even know. I'm just wondering, with that labor shortage, things like that. Are you getting feedback from the industry to say, hey, we need this, this, and this now?
Not in that way, but what we're noticing is that there's a lot more interest in our advanced analysis tools. A lot more than we've seen in the last eight to 9 years.
The more in depth.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And traditionally, a lot of the people on site didn't have the depth really to fully utilize it or fully understand what it did. Now they're putting the effort in to try and understand how to use it and how to implement it in their system. So it seems like they want to not only improve the amount of designs they can get out, but the quality of the designs that are going out, and use their scientific tools to do that sort of thing. So that's what I'm seeing.
Right.
At least in the last 4 years, I've noticed a big shift.
Right. And that'll just continue to grow, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm assuming it will.
Yeah. What I want to circle back to what we touched on earlier is the onboarding thing, because I really do think it's important. If you have someone that has at a senior level, years of experience, but maybe the computer side still doesn't come naturally to them, what should they expect when they onboard something like iRing?
Well, one thing we've been trying to do in the last year or two is push some design consulting type services. So we would contract to do a scope design for the mines. We would do it to their specifications, so they'd end up with a product they could actually have a drillable stope. In that, we would actually learn what they need from the software to be able to effectively implement it. Then we can implement a custom training schedule. Because a narrow vein gold mine doesn't really need to know how to use the software to do block caving operations.
Right.
And likewise, vice versa. So we can be more efficient. We can have their report templates done. Basically, start the ground running with exactly what they need. That we found is very effective so far.
Right. So you're actually limiting the amount of skill required to operate the system.
Yeah. Well, we're actually understanding the type of skill they need to design the blast for their mine, and then tailoring the training to exactly what they need.
Yeah.
Instead of giving them the whole kitchen sink, which could take a couple of days, we can reduce it down to a Teams or Zoom session, interactive, a couple of hours, and have their entire staff trained in a very short order.
You know, when we talk about things like that, it's easy to, it's kind of like a smartphone. We get used to using it, and then we start to forget how incredible that is. Onboarding in 2 days, it's unheard of. 10 years ago, if you said that to someone, they'd go, oh, okay, well, that's not true.
Yeah.
they wouldn't believe it.
Well, we've also been finding that providing this sort of service up front actually puts a line in the sand and tells people, yes, you can do these designs 5 times faster than your traditional stuff. And we're not just selling snake oil here. We've done it.
Yeah.
So you've got that line in the sand. And if they find that their team is not getting that speed, well, we can say, look, let's figure out what's going wrong. And is it training? Is it some other issues? We can solve that problem, and we can go from there. And it's actually been quite successful.
I'll finish off with a question to you, is just the Centric meeting these demands, ever changing. That's the landscape of mining is that now. Is it, do you see it as essentially built for that landscape? Is that the design, or is in 5 years, is it going to evolve to something new like operations, how people use the software, all that sort of thing?
So, I mean, Centric is what we call an enterprise solution. It exists across multiple verticals and a single business operation, and then across multiple businesses. It's the nature of enterprise software to change, to evolve. All software has limited life. It's limited either by its functionality or by the technology stack that it's built on. The current version of Centric, actually, this is 3rd generation of this product. We've been around for 23 years. And this is now the 3rd generation. It's 3rd generation from the requirements perspective and 3rd generation from the tech stack perspective. So this evolution will continue. The benefit for us as being part of that Datamine group exposes us to more of the factors that will dictate what that evolution will look like.
Yeah. So
we always have an eye on 1, 3, 5, and 10 years. We're always looking forward. That's why we're in the 3rd generation of the product and why we've been around for 23 years. But our breadth of view of that future is now considerably clearer because we are part of this very large mining technology group. Yeah. So that evolution will continue.
Is that similar for you? We're a little different.
We're not enterprise software. We're very niche software. Right. And obviously we will evolve. We're not the 3rd generation. We're 2nd generation.
Right.
We started in about 2003. 2nd generation of software, 2nd generation tech stack. So we don't typically we evolve our software in bits and pieces to meet the new demands. And when features become stale or not used anymore, we take them out and replace them with new things that are
Yeah.
that are constantly evolving.
It's very interesting. I don't actually know if I've ever, I realized just towards the end of this, I don't know if I've ever done this sort of 2 different system setup interview. It was actually a little more challenging than I expected it to be, because I'm kind of trying to jump back my mind back and forth. But gentlemen, I want to thank you both for coming on. You know, it's good to be able to do this. There's something different about doing these at a live event. There's a little bit of a different energy as opposed to if we're doing it through Zoom and just sort of, it's like a little video call type thing. So it's great to do this here with you. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you everybody for watching. We've got plenty more episodes coming at you, and we'll have links to everybody. Their LinkedIn, Centric, iRing. We'll have links to their websites and LinkedIn as well. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next episode of Mining Now.